Recording in progress.
All right, day two. Welcome back, everybody. Please go to the chat box and tell me how excited you are about jumping into day two. Let's go, LFG day two. This is tech day. So we're going to dive into the funnel. We're actually going to learn for a little while, and then we're going to roll up our sleeves and put our hands in the funnel together. We have so much to teach you guys. And you guys at the end of this are going to go, wow, I actually did that, right? So I want you guys, if you have not had an opportunity to do your homework and sign up for the free 7-day trial of the CRM that we're about to start working in about T-minus 45, 50 minutes, you want to make sure that you do that now. I'm going to ask the team to paste a link in the chat box right now so that you guys can go and do that. If you have any tech questions around logging in, the team is here for you right now, okay? So don't be shy. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to really break down that funnel, and we are going to get into how this all works. I'm so excited that you guys are excited. Annette says I'm here for it. Willie says ready to go. Okay. Now I am, tech stuff, right? I'm not a natural. And so it was a little bit of a new thing for me to kind of grasp some of these concepts. The person who helped me launch my webinar funnel is going to be with us tonight. The technical genius who helped to build this entire system is going to be with us and teach us tonight. So be ready to take some notes. If you haven't, if you didn't hear me say this yesterday, if you have the ability to work on the CRM in the computer, so have the CRM pulled up on the computer and then watch us on either an extended monitor, watch us on an iPad or some kind of second screen, that's the dream scenario, okay? Because then you can kind of follow along while you're watching Mo and myself. If you can't do that, don't sweat it. We have lots of resources for you so that you're not going to feel like you got behind or anything. We've got you. Just know that. Let's go ahead and dive in because we do have so much to cover. The team's there in the chat box for you if you do have a technical question about logging in, getting started, etc. Here we are at day two going into the funnel. Here you are. We're going to learn all about the power of the automations and the power of the high converting pages and all of those things that are inside of the funnel in the webinar CRM. And you're also going to see kind of these things that you don't have to really totally understand how they work because the landing page is built for you, the thank you page is built for you. We're going to teach you that stuff, but you should know that you don't have to be a website designer. We're going to go in there and do some edits on a proven high converting website template. We're going to go show you some proven high converting automations, text messages and emails, but they're already built. Okay. So give me one of these. Relax a little bit because you don't have to be a tech genius. Lord knows that I am not. So this is the most powerful marketing software that I've ever seen, but it's built for the rest of us, if that makes sense, okay? For the non-tech geniuses of the world. Now, today we're going to be going over setting up your webinar CRM. We're going to be going over the power of automation with webinar CRM. What you're going to see is based on a lead's behavior. they get different messages at different times. So they get put into these different sequences based on, did they show up to the webinar? Did they not show up to the webinar? They showed up, but they didn't book a call. They did book a call. That's why we have to have a system that's way smarter than our off-the-shelf real estate content management tools that are not going to do that, right? We're going to see those pipeline stages for lead management. That's a big ooh-ah moment, because you're going to see how your leads move themselves through the pipeline stages automatically, which is wild. You're going to see the funnel. That's your pages that are consist of like the landing page, confirmation page, replay page, all that stuff. We talked about those email and SMS. And then we got a little bonus thing for you that we are going to handle for you for free. Okay. We're going to show you how to get this done for free, and we're going to get it done tonight. So you probably didn't think about, hey, what's the URL? What's the web address that I'm actually going to send people to go look at my webinar? Should you run out to GoDaddy and buy a custom domain? I'm going to tell you no, because we have a free, quick, easy express lane solution that we're going to give you guys toward the end of our work tonight. We do have to jump in. A reminder that the challenge will be recorded for VIP members. So if you've decided that you want to make that upgrade to the VIP experience, please go to school. You click on the classroom tab, and then you'll see the big square that says VIP experience, where you can knock to join. Now, tonight we're going to be giving away our first $300 Meta ad credit. Meta is the parent company of Facebook and Instagram. So what we're going to do is we're going to fund the first webinar for one of you tonight, one of you Wednesday, one of you Thursday. So what we've seen already is that in the chats and in the school platform, the training platform, you guys are already asking amazing questions, answering questions for your fellow students before we can even get to them, encouraging them as well. And that's what we're really looking for. Make sure that you show up each day, do your homework so that you can be eligible for that. But we can't wait to give away to the first one tonight to a very deserving person. On Friday, we have our biggest giveaway, which is our VIP members giveaway, our Webinar Mastery Toolbox. We pick one person from the VIP section who's been a contributor just like everybody else, and who has really kind of like leveled up the whole chat, if you will, helping answer those questions, encouraging everyone. And they get a really sick prize. They get a professional quality podcast mic, an HD camera, a ring light, a $300 Facebook advertising credit, and they also get 6 months of the webinar CRM for free included. So we're going to announce that winner on Friday. Now, to start, please make sure that you have that free 7-day trial of the webinar CRM enabled. If you haven't done that already, click the link in the chat. If you are watching this on a recording, we have that link inside of school, classroom, and then it says free 7-day trial under day 1 resources. Now, before we start the setup and training around the CRM, let's acknowledge that, remember yesterday we were talking about some limiting beliefs. My big limiting belief was around presenting. I wasn't even smart enough to be worried about the tech, because I was so, I was freaking out about, like, I'm going to freeze. I'm going to, panic. It's not going to be good. Some of you guys told me that your number one limiting belief was around the technology. And if that's you, go ahead and go to the chat box. Let's call that out, right? There's nothing to be ashamed of there. But I want to know, hey, is that the thing that you're struggling? Michelle says me, fantastic. James says tech, yes, absolutely. Okay, great. Here's what I want to do is I want to go into this with the right mindset. First of all, I want to make a distinction. New does not equal difficult. New does not equal difficult. Please write that down in your notes. We're going to do a lot of things that are going to feel new. We're going to see a new system. Maybe you've never gone down these paths before. Don't let that trigger you and make you think that, oh, you're failing or something, just because maybe you've got to take a look at something 2 or 3 times to really get it. It's not hard. It's just new. Make that distinction. Today might feel a little bit challenging, but everybody go to the chat box and tell me, what was it that you signed up for? A 5-day what? Was it a 5-day leisure cruise? Was it a 5-day hangout? Challenge and mastery. There you go. Exactly. It's called a challenge because it's challenging. The tingle means it's working. Yes. Okay. The good part, though, is we're going to push through a lot of the hardest stuff tonight. The things that people might find a little bit challenging, we're going to do together while you've got the whole team here. Isn't that cool? This is the setup stuff that only has to be done once. Thank the Lord. This is not something that has to be done every Wednesday before your webinar or anything like that. We're going to go ahead and eat the frog, as you will, and make sure that that setup is done so that you guys can get onto the fun stuff, which is holding webinars. Like I said earlier, if you have the ability to have the CRM on your computer and then watch us from an additional monitor or an iPad or the kids' Kindle Fire, whatever, then please do that, because that's going to make the best experience for you this evening. For those of you who are at the soccer game listening on one earbud on your iPhone, don't panic. Or if you're listening on the recording, don't panic. We've got you, because what we have is everything we're going to go over today is broken down in these little snack-sized training bites in a course that maybe you've already seen inside of school. And we'll show that off. In fact, let me show you a few things that you're going to get inside of school for the day 2 resources that are going to make all of this way easier. So if you were having a little bit of tech panic coming in today, I want you to give me one of these. It's going to be okay. The team and I have done this before. We know the questions that are going to come up, and we've got you, okay? So relax. Some of the things that are located inside of the day 2 resources inside of school are things like the setup launch checklist. If you like a good checklist, let me know in the chat box. I am a checklist ninja. Yeah, it's so satisfying. And a digital one doesn't work for me. I got to print it out and scratch through it, right? Yeah. Okay, so there's a checklist. While you set up all of this stuff, you get to check off everything that you've done, make sure that you're on track and that you haven't left anything out, and that lets you kind of relax about the whole thing. There's also that free subdomain registration. If you don't know what the heck that means, don't worry. We'll explain it here in just a little bit. Just suffice it to say that we've made something that can be complicated way easier for you, and we're going to do it easily, quickly tonight. And also there is a CRM mini course that has all of those snack-sized training videos where you can always refer back to, and those resources are going to be in school. The resource portion of school lasts forever, by the way. So if you have a question while you are in the challenge here and through the weekend, if you have a question, you can go to school and make a post. By the way, that's the community wall that you see on that screen. You can go, and the team that's here tonight, plus some additional folks, would be able to answer that. There, if you make a post, then they'll see it tomorrow, see it tonight, and start answering those for you. You'll get a really good answer from somebody who does this all day long, okay? Reminder that you have access inside of school, inside the classroom tab, challenge resources. That's that pink and purple box with my heavily photoshopped picture on it. You'll spend a lot of time there. If you're smart, that's where your checklists are. That's where your resources are. And we're going to have lots of time spent there. Again, go ask your questions in school, and the whole team gets to answer those for you. Now, if you're in our webinar CRM instance, then when you hit the big fat Get Help button inside of the CRM, you can get any help related to anything CRM related from our actual team. It doesn't go to the, some support center where they don't know what it is that you're doing. You're going to get information from people who actually understand the funnel and what it is that you are trying to achieve. Now, with that all said, I want to welcome someone. This is Mo. Mo is our expert trainer for today. I personally owe a lot of my own success with webinars to Mo. And the reason is he very patiently helped me to set up a lot of things that felt very new to me. And he walked me through this and showed me that, yes, I can, even though I'm not, a tech genius. So Mo is the director of fulfillment with Rico Demand. He's been with the company over 4 years. And the system that we're going to work in tonight, he actually helped to build it and continually refines it. So the version of the system that you're working in tonight is even easier than the one I started 2 years ago, because he's always in there tinkering and making it better with you guys in mind. He personally implemented this system for over 400 real estate and mortgage pros across the United States and Canada, including myself, thank the Lord. And he is a certified webinar CRM and Facebook ad expert. So with that, I am going to welcome Mo to the stage, if you will. Mo, if we were to kind of look at this from, let's spotlight Mo's video for sure. If we were to look at this from a high level perspective, what is one thing that you want these guys to know before they start watching you take a tour through the system, if you will?
Like a one word of wisdom going in.
I'll take that. Yeah.
All right. Stay consistent.
Mm.
Stay consistent, and I'm not just talking, after you host your first webinar, stay consistent with your webinar schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're going through the setup, right? stay consistent in how you approach the setup. Approach it with patience, go through it step by step, 1%. At the end of it, you're completely done. And once you've stayed completely consistent with going through everything one thing at a time, it makes it way, way easier in the long run.
My last piece of advice for you all is as you learn with Mo, he's going to do a walkthrough of the system. You don't have to do anything. You're watching, you're taking notes, you're drinking this in, right? And then a little bit later, we're going to get to the part where we roll up our sleeves and put our hands in the funnel, and you're actually going to be editing your pages and things like that. Now, what I'm going to challenge you to do is I want you to pay very close attention to Mo, because what's going to happen is a lot of you are going to get very excited about like, hey, what about this? Can we do this? Can it do this? Can it do that? And that's awesome. And I'm happy to answer those questions in the chat box in moderation, but I don't want you to miss anything, because I don't want you to get kind of sidetracked. Focus on what Mo's saying, take those notes, prioritize that. And then yes, we can obviously have a conversation about what else is possible. Mo, I'm going to let you take it away with that.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for the kind words, Bradley, as always. I'm super excited to be here today. And before we get going, I want to know who's excited with me. If that's you, if you're excited to get into the tech, drop a 1 million in the chat. Give me a yes, give me a thumbs up. Let me know. Okay, I see a lot of 1 millions, a lot of LFGs. Let's go. Okay, can everybody see my screen okay? Great. Okay, once we've completed today's setup, we are going to be a lot more familiar with the CRM. The webinar CRM tools that we will be using today is first the pipeline stages. This allows us to visualize and organize what stage of the funnel each lead is in. We also have the funnel pages, which allows us to build the landing page, the confirmation page, the replay page, the booking page, the join Zoom page, and etc. I'm going to walk you through each and every single one of those funnel pages. We then have the automations and workflows, which is a set of events in a sequence once an action is taken. So for example, when a lead registers for the webinar, they're going to be receiving SMS and email reminders. They're going to be getting added to the pipeline. I'm going to show you exactly where that entire sequence is taking place and how we can actually edit or alter that sequence. And then finally, we'll be going through some settings. So we will be updating our information in the webinar launcher, which is a tool that we created specifically just for you guys to make it as easy and seamless as possible to set up your webinar. And then we'll be going through integrating or connecting a domain into the CRM. Okay, let's go through it. So before I get started on the setup, Bradley did mention earlier that we have a checklist. This is if you're a visual person, you like to check it off, like to see your progress and keep track of it with a visualizer. You have the webinar CRM checklist, which is directly inside of School. This is inside of School, Classroom under Challenge Resources. I'll show you exactly where to find that momentarily. And then, of course, we also have that CRM mini course created. If you'd like to review anything that we went over today, this is also located inside of School under Challenge Resources. And also keep in mind that the recording of today will be available in VIP, and every step-by-step instruction, like I just said, is available in video format in that CRM mini course that I just mentioned. Not only that, guys, but we are here to answer your questions. If you have any questions after the challenge, you're going to go into School and you're going to make a post directly in there. I'll actually take the time to show you guys exactly how to do that now. Let me zoom into the page a little bit here just so everybody can see. There we are. So we are in the school community, the Webinar Mastery Challenge 2026. And if we go under Classroom here, this is very important. Classroom and Challenge Resources. You will find in every single day has its own drop-down, its own little module. And you will find all the resources attached to each day within that dropdown. So for example, day 2, we have that webinar CRM launch checklist that I was just talking about. We have the CRM training videos, where if you click on this, this will take you to a video called the webinar CRM mini course. We have the webinar launcher. I talk about this, but this is really only if you're using your own Go High Level agency. I'll elaborate on this later on. And then we have the free subdomain registration, which is a little tool that we created for you guys to make it as easy as possible to connect to your domain and have a functioning funnel. I'm going to be walking you through each and every single one of these today as well. If I go back under Classroom, you'll see we have the VIP experience where the recording of each day is uploaded directly in here. So we have the VIP member giveaway. If you're a member of the VIP, you get the Webinar Mastery toolbox. You get to enter this giveaway. We have the presentation slideshow templates, and then lifetime access to each of the event recordings that are uploaded at the end of each day. Now, if I go back into that community section here, and you'll see where it says write something, I can click on that, write a title and a body, and this is where I'm going to go if I have any questions. So let's say I've set up everything and I just want to confirm that I did it correctly. So let's say finished setting up my domain. Can someone confirm? And you would write a quick message. Hello, I finished setting up my domain. Can someone confirm that it's done correctly? Nope. I would select the category. This would go under tech support. And then I would click post. And just like that, I've made a post in the community and I have, I'll be able to have a member of the team assist me shortly. Okay. Now, without further ado, we are going to go into the CRM live setup. One more time, who is ready? Give me a yes, give me a thumbs up. Who's excited? Okay, wonderful. Let's do it. So, like Bradley mentioned earlier, if you have your CRM, if you've already activated your free trial to the webinar CRM, you'll be able to go to crm.ricodemand.com and you'll get taken directly here. You can also click on this link right here, log into the CRM, and you'll get taken directly into the CRM. We just need to make sure that the CRM is open at this time. All right, now while everyone is opening up the CRM, I just want to take the time to explain something very important. So today is separated into two different sections. There are two different sections of today's presentation. We have first the overview portion of today's presentation, and then we have the setup portion of today's presentation. Right now, we are going to be doing the overview. This just means I want you to just watch along on my screen and try to absorb as much information as possible. If you have an additional monitor, you can follow along on your own CRM as well. But the objective of the overview is just to absorb as much information as possible. Get yourself more familiar with the CRM. I will be making it very clear when the overview portion is done and the setup portion has started. Now, just once more, if you don't know where to find the link to the CRM, you're going to click inside of school.com under the community. In the resource links on the right-hand side, you will find log into the CRM. It is the middle resource link. You click on that and you'll get taken directly to the CRM link. You can also go directly to crm.ricodemand.com and sign in from there. Once we have the CRM open, we can get started on the overview. And just want to confirm, Bradley, can you confirm you see my screen, you see the CRM, we're all good to go?
We are good to go. Let's rock.
Let's rock. Okay, so when you're in the CRM, and let me actually take the time to zoom in a little bit here. Just want to make sure everybody's able to see everything. When you're in the CRM, you're going to see your dashboard. And you'll also see on the left-hand side a navigation toolbar. Dashboard, conversations, calendars, contacts, opportunities, more tools, automation, sites and funnels, webinar launcher, and then settings at the very bottom. We'll be using this navigation toolbar on the left-hand side to navigate through the different items that we will be tackling inside of the CRM. The very first thing that we are going to start off with is the opportunities. The opportunities on the left-hand side of the CRM. So the opportunities takes you to the pipeline. And this is how our leads are sorted and organized. we have the following stages within the pipeline. We have first registered for upcoming webinar. We then have did not attend webinar, attended webinar and did not book, watched replay, and if I take this navigation bar, I can scroll over on the right-hand side, attended and booked, appointment conducted, deal in progress, deal closed, and then finally abandoned lead. Those are all of the stages in our pipeline. And those are the different stages a lead can be inside of the system. The first 5 stages inside of this pipeline are completely automated for you. What that means is, depending on what action that lead has taken, they will be allocated and organized in their according stage. Let's take Mo, for instance. Mo here registered for my webinar. So you can see he was put into the registered for upcoming webinar pipeline stage. Now, anybody inside of the registered for upcoming webinar pipeline stage will be receiving automated email and SMS reminders reminding them to attend the webinar. So this individual here, Mo, registered for my webinar, and let's say he did not attend. This individual would automatically be moved from the registered for upcoming webinar stage into the did not attend webinar stage. Now, you'll see that I just manually took that lead and I manually dragged it over. That won't be the case for yourself. Keep in mind, it is completely automated. I just moved it to give you a visual as to show you exactly what it looks like when a lead does get moved. But this is completely automatic. This individual, if they did not attend, would get moved into the did not attend webinar pipeline stage. Anybody inside of the did not attend webinar pipeline stage is receiving SMS and email reminders prompting them to watch the replay of your webinar. All right, so just to recap so far, we've talked about the registered for upcoming webinar pipeline stage. Anybody inside of this stage is receiving SMS and email reminders prompting them to attend the webinar. We then have the did not attend webinar pipeline stage. Anybody inside of this pipeline stage will get moved here if they did not attend the webinar, and they'll be receiving automated SMS and email reminders prompting them to watch the replay of the webinar. We then have the attended webinar and did not book stage. So let's say Mo here registered and he attended. He would get automatically moved from the registered stage into the attended webinar and did not book stage. Any lead inside of the attended webinar and did not book stage will be receiving automated SMS and email reminders prompting them to schedule that one-on-one consultation with yourself. And any lead that registers, attends, and then books will get moved into the attended and booked pipeline stage. And any lead inside of the attended and booked pipeline stage is receiving automated SMS and email, automated SMS reminders of the phone consultation that they've scheduled with yourself. They'll be receiving one a day before the consultation. They'll be receiving a confirmation SMS, and then another one a day before, another one an hour before, and then another one 10 minutes before the scheduled consultation time. And then we have here the watched replay stage. So let's say Mo here registered, didn't attend, but then watched the replay of my webinar. They would get moved into the watched replay pipeline stage. And again, keep in mind, this is completely automated. I'm just taking the time now to manually drag them to give you a visual as to how it looks like. And any lead inside of the watched replay stage is receiving automated SMS and email reminders prompting them to book or schedule that free one-on-one consultation with yourself. And that right there covers the first 5 stages of our pipeline. And that right there covers basically the webinar funnel. All right, before I move on, just want to check in with everyone. How are we feeling about this? Are we starting to see the power of the webinars? the webinar system? Give me a yes, give me a thumbs up in the chat. Okay, I love the excitement. And yeah, keep in mind, this is completely automated. Depending on what that lead does, they'll get moved and allocated into their appropriate stage. Now, if I take this scroll bar and drag all the way over to the right, I will see appointment conducted, deal in progress, and deal closed. These three pipeline stages here. These three stages have no automations attached to them. What that means is, this is simply for your own organization. If Mo here attended and booked, and then you've conducted that consultation, you would move them into appointment conducted. There is no sequence of SMS or email reminders attached to this stage. If you have a deal in progress with this individual, you can take them and drag them directly into deal in progress or deal closed. This is, again, for your own organization. This does not have any automations behind it. The final pipeline stage here is abandoned lead or opted out of campaign. If a lead replied to any of the SMS or email reminders with stop, unsubscribe, wrong number, remove me from your list, or any of the following, or any of the above, they will get moved into the abandoned lead stage. Any lead inside of the abandoned lead stage will cease to receive any further SMS or email communications from your CRM. They have completely opted out. So that right there is an overview of our pipeline. Again, just want to check in one more time here. How are we feeling about the CRM, the pipeline, the stages? Are we seeing how this can really help us stay organized, and especially the automation tool behind it, with exactly where, what stage of the funnel our leads are at? All right, I love the energy today. A lot of excitement. Okay, so we've talked about how we're organizing our pipeline, or how we're organizing our funnel, but we didn't talk about the organization of the specific lead. So let's take Mo Test here, for example. If I click on any of the space around Mo's name, I will get a pop-up on my screen. This pop-up will show me all of the details attached to this individual. So I'll be able to see the name of this individual. I'll be able to see the email address that they use to register for the webinar, as well as the phone number that they use to register for the webinar. I can also scroll down here and see any tags assigned to this individual. So I can see that Mo here is a buyer lead. Now, the following tags will also get assigned automatically. If they did not attend the webinar, they would get the did not attend tag. If they attended but did not book, they would get the attended tag. If they booked a consultation, they would get the booked tag. And if they watched the replay of the webinar, they would receive the watched replay tag. On the left-hand side here, I can also see notes. And if I click on notes, I can see notes. I can either add a note, or I can see any notes that were automatically left for this individual. So for Mo here, I can see that he has registered for a webinar. Now, typically, you'll see that this note will also include the date of the webinar that they registered for. At this very moment in time, because this was just a test example that I loaded up here, you don't see a date attached to this note. You don't see what webinar date is attached to this note. But if I'd filled in a webinar date, you would see that in there. Now, I can also see that this note was left on January 6th, 2026 at 5:39 p.m. Eastern Time. I can also see who or what created this note. Now, that means that you can also leave notes behind each lead. And what I definitely recommend is any consultations that you conduct, you definitely want to update the notes for each contact. So, for example, I clicked on, again, the opportunity card. I got a pop-up on my screen, and I went to notes on the left-hand side of that pop-up. And then I clicked on add note. And in here, under add a note, I'm going to type in, let's say I spoke with Mo, looking to buy in 4 to 6 months. And then you could write whatever number, price point, 3 bedrooms, whatever it is. Then you can click save. And once that note has saved, you will see that I left a note at 6:38 p.m. and that's what I wrote. You can add as many notes as you would like into a contact. And again, the whole purpose of the notes is to stay organized and consistent with your leads, making sure that you have a good system of exactly what it is that you spoke about or what that last point of contact was. Okay. So that right there is an overview of our pipeline, and that right there is how to get some quick opportunity information. We are then able to click on the name of the contact instead. So what we did previously was we clicked on the card itself, all of the space around the name. And when we click on that, we got that pop-up. But if we click on the name instead, we get taken to a different page. We get taken to instead the contact page of that contact. Now, on the contacts page, you'll be able to see the same information that I just talked about, their first name, their last name, their email address, their phone number, the source of their registration. If you continue to scroll down, you can also see the tags behind that individual, any automations that they're active in, or where they are in the pipeline. That's all on the left-hand side there. You'll also be able to see in the middle there any conversation history with that individual. So any text messages that they received or any emails that they received from your CRM. You can also manually from here type a text message. Or you can also in here write an email, write a subject, and you can have a direct one-on-one contact with the lead from here as well. Now, any text message that this lead sends to my CRM will also be shown inside of this contact page. On the right-hand side of the contact page, I can see activity. So the different pages that they visited, when did they submit my form, just a different activity, how they've interacted with my funnel. And I can see at the top here, the notes as well, which is the same notes that I referenced previously. They're accessible just from a different place. And that right there is the opportunities. That right there covers our pipeline. And remember, just to recap, the first 5 stages in the pipeline are completely automated. There is there's a sequence of SMS and email reminders attached to each and every single one of these stages. The middle 3 stages here, appointment conducted, deal closed, deal in progress, and deal closed, are not automated. These require manual movement. And then finally, abandoned lead, which is what happens when a lead replies with stop, unsubscribe, wrong number, or once they have opted out. That right there is the overview of the opportunities. Now, just once more, I want to check in with everybody. How are we doing so far? Give me a yes, give me a thumbs up. Are we getting more and more excited about the CRM? Okay, great. Now, the next thing I want to talk about here is the automations. So I'm going to go into automations on the automation on the left-hand side of the CRM. Now, once you open the automation, you will find 2 different folders. There is DND automations or home buyers webinar. We are going to go into home buyers webinar. And then we're going to open up the register form / survey submitted, add to pipeline and reminders. I'm just going to continue with manual save. Okay. So just to recap everything I've clicked so far, automation, home buyers webinar, register form / survey submitted, add to pipeline, and reminders. Now, in this list, by the way, you do get all of the automations that are attached to the system. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the time today because we are limited on time. I don't have the time today to cover each and every single automation and every single event in each automation. It does go pretty in depth. However, I can at least give you guys an insight as to what these automations look like, why they operate that way. And that way you can just develop an understanding and take the time on your own to go into each and every single one of these afterwards and get, again, a better understanding of exactly how the system works. So this first automation here, all automations have a trigger. And then after that trigger is a sequence of events. In this instance here, the trigger for this automation is when the webinar registration is, or when a lead has registered for the webinar. So when the lead has submitted the form, and that is the form on our landing page. And I'll show you exactly what that form looks like shortly as well. Once the lead has registered for our webinar, the first action that occurs is they actually get the did not attend tag removed, and then they get removed from the certain workflows. I'll circle back to this. We don't have to worry too much about this. These are redundancy measures. Let's talk about first the add to registered stage in the webinar pipeline. Pardon me. So this action here adds the lead to the buyer webinar pipeline and specifically adds them to the registered for upcoming webinar pipeline stage. So I talked earlier about how when a lead registers for the webinar, they are automatically moved into the registered for upcoming webinar pipeline stage. And I showed you guys that opportunity card, the one that said Mo test. Well, this exactly here is the action that adds a lead to the pipeline once they have submitted that form, once they have registered for the webinar. A note will then automatically get added to that lead, registered for a webinar, and then you'll see here, next webinar date. Now, you are going to see a lot of instances or a lot of mentions of curly braces or these squiggly brackets throughout the entirety of the system. You'll see them in the automations, you'll see them in the funnel, you'll see them in the SMS and the emails. These are called custom values. These are placeholders or variables. All right, and I will elaborate on exactly where these placeholders, what the functionality behind them is, and exactly how we're able to alter these placeholders. Before now, just a general rule of thumb, if you see these curly braces or these squiggly brackets, you do not want to edit these squiggly brackets. You do not want to erase or delete them at all. You want to keep them exactly as is. Now, one event I didn't talk about here is the add or the event start date. This right here sets the entire sequence for the rest of the workflow. So one thing to keep in mind is that all of the reminders attached to a webinar, they're all sent based off of the webinar date. Remember, a lead will get reminded to attend the webinar based off of the webinar date. They're going to get a confirmation SMS and email. They'll get a reminder to attend an hour before, a day before, 2 minutes before, 15 minutes before, etc. So a lead receives reminders to attend the webinar. And those reminders that they receive are all based off of the date that you set for your webinar. Now I'm going to show you how you can set each date, but anytime you see these mentions here, these curly braces, those are the placeholders. Now, this event start date here, that is what sets the sequence or the timings of the sequence for the entirety of the automations. Now, as I continue to scroll down, excuse me, as I continue to scroll down in this workflow, I'll see here a note, and then I'll see the add buyer lead tag. So this tag that gets added here is buyer lead. What this means is this tag will automatically get added when this sequence is taken, or when this action is taken, or when this action happens. I can change this tag as I would like. So if I don't want the buyer tag to get attached to my contact, and instead I would like maybe seller or seller lead, I can click seller, add that tag, and I can remove the buyer lead tag. All right. Now, anytime I make an action or a change inside of this workflow, what you want to make sure you do is you want to make sure you click save action. And then after clicking save action, you click save workflow. Now, I purposely canceled it there. I do not want to save that action, but anytime you make a change in the workflow, you would click save action and then save the workflow. We then have the webinar date tag getting added into our lead. So this tag right here will add the webinar date to each contact. And what that means is a lead will effectively be able to see the exact date that that lead has registered for, the exact date of the webinar that that lead has registered for directly from the tags. We then have email and WhatsApp in our priority system. So what this action right here does is this sends them an email and a WhatsApp message. Now, the actual message itself, you can't alter. What you can alter is the topic of the message. So it'll say, "Hey, Bob, you're registered for the area home buyers class." They'll then receive an email. The subject of this email is "You're in. Here's what you'll learn at the area home buyers webinar." If I continue to scroll down here, I can see the message or the body of that email. Hi, contact first name. So hi, Bob. Again, you'll see a lot of mentions here of these curly braces or these variables, these placeholders. Keep in mind that this gets filled in with actual information. However, in this meantime, you do not want to actually edit what's inside of the curly braces. If you're altering any SMS or altering any emails, you want to edit outside of those curly braces. So, for example, it's webinar host. So it's Bradley Pounds. Your spot is locked in for the area home buyers class on next webinar date. Now, if I wanted to change this from home buyers to instead say home owners class, I can change this from home buyers. You're going to notice I'm going to highlight and select what I want to change, the specific word that I want to change. And I'll change this to home owners class on next webinar date. This session is packed with insider tips to help you save thousands on your very next home purchase. Again, you would want to alter the verbiage of this a little bit if you're changing it from home buyers to home sellers or from home buyers to investors or whatever it is. You would definitely want to take the time to go into each of these, change the verbiage or change the actual verbiage of the email or SMS to make sure that it aligns with the topic of your webinar. But once you've made those changes, and again, you want to be careful when you're making those changes. You don't want to edit or alter what's inside the curly braces. Once that's done, you click Save Action. And again, Save Action, and then you click Save Workflow. Okay, now I'm just going to cover another couple of text messages. But like I said, we are limited on time today. Unfortunately, don't have the time to go into each and every single action and event and every single workflow and talk about those. But you do have access to each of this inside of your CRM, and I definitely recommend taking the time to go into these and taking a look for yourself and seeing exactly what gets sent out to each lead and how that system operates. Just develop your understanding of. So we have SMS reminder number 1, your seat is saved. So hi, contact first name. Hi, Bob. This is webinar host. You're officially confirmed for the area homebuyer online class on next webinar date. During this class, I'll show you how to buy a home the smart way and avoid the mistakes that cost buyers thousands. Then they get another SMS shortly after. Here's your personal link to join. Can't wait to see you there, first name. The CRM is then going to wait 6 days before the webinar and send an email. They're going to wait 5 days before the webinar, send another email. Wait 4 days before the webinar, send another email. They'll wait 3 days before the webinar, send an SMS, send another email. They'll wait 2 days before the webinar, send another SMS, send another email. They'll wait a day before the webinar, email, SMS, 9 hours before, email, SMS, etc., 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 etc. Okay, so that right there is the a overview of the workflow. So now again, if you wanted to alter any of the SMS or any of the emails, you would simply go into them. You would find for emails, the subject line, you can change that, and the body in here. You can change the font size or add tags or whatever it is. Now, just again, one thing to keep in mind while you're altering the SMS is you don't want to alter what's inside of the curly braces, and you want to be careful when you're editing these because these are placeholders or shortcuts, all right? So if you mistype it, like say, for example, you just simply erase a letter in one of these, well, now it's not going to get filled in with what the placeholder needs to fill it in with. Not only that, but this does make your SMS make more sense. So this is going to say it's webinar host, right? If I change the host of my webinar, as long as I have the placeholder or variable there, that same thing will still remain intact. Okay, so this right here is the SMS and reminder sequence. This is the register, the first workflow in that sequence. If I click back to workflows here, like I said, you will see the rest of them. Now, again, just because I'm limited on time today, I unfortunately don't have the time to go into each and every single workflow, but I highly recommend taking the time, go into each of them, just develop your understanding of the system, of the CRM, of the automations, what text each lead is receiving, when do they receive those text messages. So that way, you can just develop your understanding of exactly how this system works. Okay, again, I know I kind of just threw a lot of information at you there, but I want to check in with everybody here. Are we understanding the system a little bit more now? You know, I don't expect everybody to go in here and just start editing things as they want, but are we starting to see the power more and more of the webinar system? Give me a yes, give me a thumbs up. All right, wonderful. Let's carry on. So the next thing we are going to conduct is an overview of the funnel. This might be my favorite part. An overview of the funnel. So I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like when a lead interacts with you, exactly what that lead sees. And I'm also then this is going to be the last part of our overview, which is the funnel overview. And once we've finished that, we're actually going to get into editing the funnel. And then we're going to get into altering all of those variables or shortcuts or placeholders. Okay, so I'm going to find sites/funnels on the left-hand side of the CRM. That's sites/funnels. And from here, I'm going to open up the webinar funnel. Again, that's sites/funnels, then webinar funnel. And once we open up the webinar funnel, you'll be able to see this page where you will see different funnel steps first. We have the landing page, registered page, countdown/join Zoom page, the webinar replay page, the book a private session page, and then the bottom 3 pages, which are all labeled just for compliance. We have the unsubscribe page, the privacy policy page, and the terms and conditions page. Now, we're going to pretend that these bottom 3 pages here don't exist. They are only here for the sake of compliance. They are not actually a part of our funnel. So we're just going to disregard it. And you know what? Just kind of, want to do a quick pop quiz here. Does anybody know why we call it a funnel? Like, why isn't this just called a website? It is a website. Like every funnel ultimately, it is a website. But why don't we just call it a website? Why do we use that specific word, funnel? Okay, I see a lot of right answers in the chat. Because what it's doing is funneling down leads. Right now, we can't just go up to a lead immediately and just say, hey, let's book a free private session. Let's book a one-on-one consultation, right? Odds are we're not going to get many people book. So we're going to trickle them down through the funnel to get them ultimately to our goal of scheduling that one-on-one consultation. We have first the landing page. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click this view page button. This is a square with an arrow pointing out at the top right. If I click on that button, it'll let me view the page in a new tab. This is what the landing page looks like. Now, again, this isn't a completed page, strictly because at the moment we haven't filled in a webinar date, we haven't inputted any of our details or any of that fun stuff. So this is currently a templated page, but you can see just right off the bat how really cool this page looks. On the bottom left, I don't know if anybody has noticed this so far, but you can actually see live updates of people registering for the webinar. Right, so Andrew Z has just registered. And again, just keep an eye on that bottom left because you'll see more and more updates pop in. We see here home buyer live class, the step-by-step blueprint to buying your first home in area's competitive market without overpaying or making costly mistakes. As you continue to scroll down, you can see here, a date gets inputted, what you will learn, right? And then if we click the reserve my seat, we get taken to the form where this right here is where a lead would opt in or register for the webinar, where they submit their first name and last name, their phone number, and their email address. All right, and then as we continue to scroll down, or I guess scroll up in this instance, they get to meet your host, learn from a trusted expert. This is where we're actually going to upload a professional portrait of yourself. We're going to input your name, and just make sure that this information has this page has information about you directly filled in. And I'm actually going to show you how to do that on today's meeting. Now, that is the landing page or the home page. The reason why it's called the landing page is because this right here, the landing page is the top of your funnel. The landing page is where a lead lands after clicking on your advertisement or clicking on whatever it is that gets them to the top of the funnel. So in this instance, they click on our Facebook ad and they get taken to the landing page. Now, after a lead registers on this page, so after they submit the form, they will then be taken to the confirmation page, or what I like to call the registered page. It's also known as the thank you step. This page right here tells them, hey, you're all registered for the webinar. So it'll say, Bob, you're registered. Follow these steps before the class starts. Your name is on the list for the home buyers class. These steps take under 2 minutes and make sure you're fully prepared for the class. In here, you actually get the ability to upload a video that you can film just as saying, hey, thank you for registering for the webinar, yada, 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 yada. And then they can complete these 3 steps below, which is first adding the class to their calendar. This one's pretty cool. Again, now this functionality, this doesn't work right now because I have not taken the time to fill in a webinar date. I'll show you how to do that shortly. But they can click add to calendar and they can add it to their Google Outlook calendar or their Apple calendar or whatnot. We then ask them to fill in the 60-second pre-class assessment. What are you hoping to buy your next home as soon as possible, within 3 to 6 months, within the next year, just gathering information? Have you started looking at homes yet? Yes, a little, not yet. Have you spoken with a lender yet? Yes, no, not yet. Planning to. Which areas or neighborhoods are you most interested in? They would type a neighborhood here. What's motivating you to buy a home? I want more space, tired of renting, family needs a change, I want stability, other. And then what's your biggest question about buying a home right now? And then, do you plan on attending this class live? This helps us prepare your spot. Yes, I plan to attend live. I'll try my best. I might need a reminder. And then finally, their pre-class assessment form has been filled in. Finally, book your private home buyer planning session where they can actually schedule a free one-on-one consultation with you prior to the webinar even happening. Now, once they click that pop-up, your calendar does pop up. At this time, the calendar hasn't been set up yet, so you won't see the calendar pop up. You have to first set up your booking calendar. It gives them some more information about what we'll cover in this class. And then we have the equal housing logo, the privacy policy and terms and conditions, again, just because we want to remain compliant. All right. So this right here is the confirmation page. We have then the countdown page or the join Zoom page. If I click open a new tab, you'll hear me refer to this page as the countdown page. Now, at this very moment in time, you don't see a countdown quite yet. It will be soon to be obvious reasons to why I call this the countdown page. But once the countdown turns to 5 minutes prior to the webinar, they're able to join the live class. We have then the webinar replay page. Oh, just a quick heads up. When they click this button, they are automatically redirected to your join meeting. Whether you're using the CRM live stream, they'll be automatically directed to that webinar. We then have the webinar replay page. And on this page, they'll get automatically directed here. They'll get texted and emailed a link to this page if they do not attend the webinar, where they'll then be able to, where you will be able to upload a recording of your webinar directly into this page. And the lead has the ability to schedule a free one-on-one consultation directly from this page again. And then finally, we have the bottom of the funnel, that being the book a private session, where they'll be able to schedule a free one-on-one consultation directly with you from this page. Now, at this very moment in time, again, you do not have your calendar set up, so you will just see this be blank. Once you have set up your calendar, once you've activated your calendar, the actual calendar booking feature will be loaded within your CRM. Okay, so that right there concludes our funnel overview. Now, again, just want to check in with everyone. Are we following along on the funnel? How are we doing so far? Give me a yes, give me a thumbs up in the chat. Okay. All right, I see a lot of excitement here. A lot of people saying this is so cool. I completely agree. This is very cool. Okay, so everyone, at this moment in time, we have completed the overview portion of our presentation. Everything from here is all about setup. So we are going to be editing the funnel. We're going to be editing our webinar details in the webinar launcher, and we're going to be connecting a domain. So like Bradley mentioned at the very beginning, if you have multiple screens set up, have your CRM set up on one and have me set up on the other with my screen share so you can follow along. All right, now I'm going to also lay out step by step exactly what buttons I'm clicking, when I'm clicking them, and why you're clicking them. But it's very important that at this time, you're following along directly inside of the CRM.
So we're actually about to take action. So if you zoned out for a second, wake up, because this is the part that you definitely want to be super plugged in for, because we're going to do some setup items and you've got Mo looking over your shoulder right now. So one quick item I want to highlight in the chat box. I'm seeing a lot of people ask like, hey, I actually went through the challenge a few months ago and I'm coming back through or whatnot, but you signed up for the CRM previously and you want the new pages. If you notice, Linda and Alessandra are letting everybody know that you can go make a post in school, not a DM, by the way. Let me reinforce that. I said it last night, but I want to make sure I'm slow, loud, and clear. Don't send us a DM. Do not send me one. Don't send Mo one. We're not going to be able to check those. Make a post on the community wall, because then the entire tech team can descend on it. Yes. And make sure that you get a really good answer and get it quickly, because you deserve it. So make sure that you make that post if you want to get instructions on how to get the freshened pages, etc., because we're always improving stuff.
Okay. All right. Let's get into it. So we are starting off. Can you hear me okay? Oh, okay. All right. We are starting off with the sites/funnels on the left-hand side of the CRM. The first thing that we are doing is we are going to edit our funnel. Sites/funnels on the left-hand side of the CRM. Yours might just say sites. If so, that's okay. Again, sites on the left-hand side of the CRM. And from sites, you're going to click on webinar funnel. Just once more, sites on the left-hand side of the CRM. And from there, we click on webinar funnel. And then here, we are going to edit the landing page. So I'm going to click this edit button, and I'm going to edit my landing page. Personally, I prefer to edit in a new tab just so I don't close out my previous tab. Once I click on the edit button and edit in a new tab, I'll get taken to the funnel builder or the funnel editor. You'll notice that this looks a lot different than the regular landing page. This is what the regular landing page looks like. I kept it open just to give you guys a visual. And this is what the funnel builder looks like. You'll notice that they look very different. You'll see a lot of mentions of these curly braces. Oh, anytime you make a change like that, by the way, you can just undo it by clicking the undo button right there on the top right. But you'll see a lot of mentions of those curly braces, for instance. A lot of mentions here and right here. Again, we do not want to edit what's inside of the curly braces. But if you want to change any of the text on this page, you can take the time to do so right now. So for example, area home buyer live class. Well, I can change this from home buyer to maybe home seller or home owners, right? Now you'll notice that the way I'm editing the text on this page is I'm following the same rule that I followed for my SMS and email. I'm not going to edit all of the the entirety of the text. I'm not going to highlight and erase everything. I'm only going to change the exact words that I would like to change. So this one here says homeowners class. I'm staying away from the curly braces. I'm only editing outside of those curly braces, right? So this can be homeowners class or home buyers, whatever it is. The step-by-step blueprint to buying your first home. Maybe I'm not hosting a first-time home buyers. Maybe I just want to do the step-by-step blueprint to buying a home in areas competitive market without overpaying or making costly mistakes. I can then scroll down here. I can edit any of this text here as well. As I continue to scroll down, I'm going to find an image or a place to input my image. And then also I'll see your name. So two things we're going to absolutely edit. We absolutely need to edit here. The first is the image of ourselves. To edit an image on your funnel, what you want to do is you want to click on this page or click on the image that you would like to edit. And on the right-hand side, you'll see image options load up. And you're going to click the replace image button. So just one more time, I'm going to scroll down until I find the image that I want to replace, that being this here. I'm going to click on that image. And on the right-hand side, I'll see a link with a replace image button next to that link. If I click on that replace image button, I'll get a pop-up on my screen for the media storage, where I can upload an image directly into the media storage from my computer by clicking upload. And there we go. Now, Bradley did just mention that if you have a previous, if you created your CRM prior to this challenge, you might have a different look on your page. Well, if you take the time to scroll down on that page, it is the exact same settings that you have to change. If you take the time to scroll down, you will find there is a place for your professional headshot. And what you want to do here is click on that same place where your professional headshot would go. On the right-hand side, you would see a link with a replace image button. If you click on that replace image button, you get a pop-up on your screen for media storage, and you can upload your image directly from this page. Now, you would upload by either dragging and dropping directly from your computer or by clicking the upload button on the top right here. Once you have an image uploaded, you are going to select that image just by clicking on it. And on the bottom right of the pop-up, you will see insert media. After clicking insert media, you see the image get inserted on the page. And at this time is when you would want to resize your image. You can resize your image by altering the width of the image here. So for example, you want to play around with it a little bit. I always recommend when you're resizing an image, change it in increments of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, all the way to 50. So this image is a little bit large. I'm going to try, instead of 400, what if I did 350 for the width? All right, that's actually much, much better size for my page. But if it was still too big, I can do 300 or 250, which I would argue 250 is already now a little bit too small. I'm going to go back to 350. And that right there is how I would replace an image. Just to recap, I clicked on the image that I want to change. On the right-hand side of the CRM, or right-hand side of the funnel builder, I saw a link with a replace image button next to that link. When I click on the replace image button, we can upload an image directly from our computer. And then once that image is uploaded, we can either double click or insert media. And now that image has been inserted onto our page. Then the next things that we need to change here are your name. You want to change this to your name, the name of the webinar host. So in this case, I could type Bradley Pounds. And then we have here a description. Now, you don't want to take the time right now just because, again, we are limited on time today. I don't want you to take the time right now to alter this description in full, but I definitely want you to change this description so that it fits yourself, right? Change the area, the name here. Just make sure you take the time to change this description. If you don't have too much text to write on it, what you can do is say you only want to write that much. You can just increase the font size of this description. Make it instead of 15, you can make it 20. Oh, I did 30. You can do 20, and there you go. Now you have it still looks more filled in on the page. All right. Now you do want to take the time to play around with the page a little bit. You can see here. We have headlines and different testimonials. You can actually change these and put in things that actual people have said. You don't want to alter the form itself, but you can alter the road. Your journey to home ownership starts here, and etc. And alter these on an as needed basis. All right, that right there is the funnel builder. And that's the general gist of how to edit your page. Now, just to recap once more, what you can do is you can alter any of the text on the page by just simply highlighting and changing what it is that needs to be changed. If you scroll down on this page, you will see the Meet the Speaker section, Meet Your Host, where you would click on that image that you would like to replace, click on the Replace Image button, and change this to an image of yourself. So again, you would upload a professional portrait of yourself. And then once it's uploaded from your computer, you would click on this image and then click Insert Media. Change your name. And then, of course, also change you can change the professional title and the description here as well. You don't want to go over, you don't want your description to be too bulky, but you also don't want to be too short. So, if it's too short, you might find that you're better off in just increasing the font size. So this here says 15, and I can change that font size to 20 instead. And now I can see here that the description fits the page a little better. Now, once I am done with all of my changes, I would click the floppy disk icon on the top right. That right there saves my changes. And you get an SEO metadata pop-up on the left-hand side. You can just ignore that. You can just close that out. After saving your changes are saved, and then you can actually click the little eye icon to preview all of your changes on what the actual page would look like. And there it is. That is now my landing page. All right. Now, a common question I get asked at this time is about the color scheme or the actual layout of this page. Now, one thing to keep in mind, especially with this landing page, is this is created and optimized for the sole purpose of conversions. The entire purpose of your landing page should be to get people to register for your webinar. It only should be serving one purpose, and that's to get people to register for your webinar. So what this means is we've chosen a specific color scheme. We've chosen a specific layout. We've chosen very specific things because the entire purpose of this is to get people to opt in, get people to scroll down enough on this page to fill in the form and register for the webinar. So you are able to change any of the colors on this page. But if you do so, you want to make sure that it looks just as nice and it converts just as much. And again, once you're done making your changes, so I'll give you guys a quick example on how to edit the color. Although, again, just keep in mind, we are limited on time today. I do want to make sure we cover everything that we need to cover. But if I just simply take any of this text on the right-hand side, if I scroll down, I'll see color, and I'll be able to change here, the color of the actual text. So instead of yellow, say I want this to be black, I can change it there, click done, and now that color is changed. All right, but again, you'd want to do this for any of the yellow that you see on this page, because it's very important that you stay consistent and you make this page look just as nice as previous. Once you're done with all of your changes, you would want to click the floppy disk icon on the top right, save. And then finally, just take a moment, click the eye icon, take a look at what the page actually looks like visually. If it looks good, then you're good to go, and you've finalized your landing page edits. All right. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we are finally going to fill in all of these placeholders, all these little these squiggly brackets that I've been talking about for this entire session. So we have a lot of mention here of custom value city or custom values next webinar date, or custom value city again, custom values webinar host, custom value city. A lot of mention of these squiggly brackets or these curly braces. And what I said earlier was that these were placeholders or shortcuts, and we type in information inside of them, and whatever information we type in, it populates in different places. Now I'm going to show you exactly where to fill in that information. So I'm going to keep this page open. You don't need to do this, but I'm going to keep this page open just to give you guys a better visual on exactly what it looks like. If you're in the CRM, you want to find Webinar Launcher on the left-hand side. So CRM, Webinar Launcher on the left-hand side of the CRM. All right. Once you're in the Webinar Launcher, you're going to see this page. Webinar date and time, webinar details, and your links at the bottom. Let's start off with webinar date and time. And again, just so everybody's aware, we are in the CRM and we clicked on Webinar Launcher on the left-hand side. So that's in our toolbar. If you don't see the toolbar, on the bottom left of the CRM, you might see this little green icon with an arrow sticking out of it. If you click that arrow, you will see the toolbar. Webinar Launcher is on the left-hand side of the CRM. It's at the bottom. Not as far down as settings is, but it is at the bottom of the Webinar Launcher, or of the navigation toolbar on the left-hand side. Once you click on the Webinar Launcher, you'll get taken to the Webinar Launcher. This is where we configure all of the details for our webinar. We're first going to start off with webinar date, time, and time zone. So for webinar date, I'm going to click on select webinar date, and I'm going to change the date of my webinar. Let's play a hypothetical. Let's say my webinar date is on Thursday the 15th. I'm going to click on Thursday the 15th. And then I'm going to select the time for my webinar. I'm going to choose 7 p.m. And then for time zone, I'm going to select my time zone, or the local time zone of my location of targeting. So this one's very important, actually. Let's say I'm hosting my webinar in Texas. But I myself, I'm based in New York, but my webinar is being hosted in Texas, right? So my location of targeting is Texas. All of my clients are in Texas, but I'm based in New York. Well, New York is in Eastern time, but if I'm targeting Texas, I'm selecting Central time because Texas is in Central time. However, I'm based in New York. If I was targeting other individuals in New York, I would select Eastern time. All right, so we have here first Alaska. We have here at the top Hawaii time. Hawaii time, this one's, I guess, self-explanatory enough. If you're in Hawaii, you select Hawaii time. If you're in Alaska, you select Alaska time. If you're on the West Coast, you select Pacific time. So that's California, British Columbia, that's Washington as well, Oregon, etc., Nevada. If you are in the Mountain time zone, so this would be Utah. There's a few others that aren't at the top of my head, but if you're in Mountain time, you'd select Mountain time. Then you have Mountain Time, no DST. This means Mountain Time, no daylight savings. So this is for the individuals in Arizona. You would select Mountain Time, no DST. Central Time, you would select, if you're in Texas, you would select Central Time. And then, of course, if you're on the East Coast, you would select Eastern Time. And then we have Newfoundland Time and Atlantic Time. So I'm going to choose Central Time. And then once I have my webinar date filled in, my webinar time filled in, and my time zone filled in, I'm going to click Set Webinar Date and Time. Guys, the most common mistake I see made here is we don't save our changes. We don't click the Save All Details, or we don't click the Set Webinar Date and Time button. Now, after setting your webinar date and time, you're going to see a lot more things filled in. Now, just because I want to give you guys a visual, I do not want you to follow along with what I'm doing on my screen at this very moment, but I'm just going to open up a couple of pages on the funnel just to give you guys a better idea of what everything looks like now. All right, so
one quick thing I just want to highlight is if you are not in our webinar CRM instance, if you have a Go High Level instance and you are like doing a snapshot or something, you will not have the webinar launcher. That's not part of the snapshot. It is custom coded software applet. And so that can't transfer on the snapshot. This is specific to if you're inside of the webinar CRM. If you're in a different Go High Level instance, there's an article in the Day 2 resources in the CRM mini course about an alternative procedure for you to execute on this. It's just not this easy.
All right, and just thank you for that, Bradley. Thanks for that reminder. Actually, I completely forgot to mention. So yes, the webinar launcher, it is proprietary to the Rico Demand CRM. It was built into the Rico Demand CRM. We cannot take it out of it. So if you are not using Rico Demand CRM, if you're using your own instance of Go High Level, your own agency, you would want to go into the school classroom. And under challenge resources, you're going to find the webinar launcher if you're using your own high level. You want to reference that video. That video talks about exactly what you're going to do to replace the webinar launcher. However, for I would say about 95% of this room, that does not apply to you. And this is exactly what it is that you want to focus on. All right, so we're just going to go ahead again and select my webinar date and time. So 15th, I'm going to choose 7 p.m. for my webinar time. Again, we recommend all webinars be held on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 7 or 7:30 p.m. in your local time zone. And then I'm going to select Central Time and finally set webinar date and time. Now, once my webinar date and time have been set and my webinar details have been updated, I could see that at the top right there. If I open up, I kept the funnel builder open just because I wanted to give you guys a visual. You'll see we have here custom values next webinar date. All right, there was also a lot of mention of this inside of all of the SMS and email reminder sequences. Right now, if I actually go into the landing page, right, and now since I have my webinar date filled in, if I refresh this page, you will see webinar day has popped up, and I now have a countdown, counting me down to the webinar. This is based off of the date that we have inside of the webinar launcher. Again, you do not need to go back to sites. You don't need to go back into the funnel. I'm doing this just to give you a visual, show you what has changed, right? Give you a better understanding of exactly how the system works. Now, so again, we've made this as convenient as possible for you. All you have to do for each webinar is open up the webinar launcher, change that date. If you're changing the time, change the time. You click set webinar date and time, and there you go. Every instance of every mention of a webinar date inside of the CRM has now been changed and formatted accordingly to make sure the system is completely functional. Now, when a lead registers for the webinar, they're registering for a webinar on Tuesday or on Thursday, January 15th at 7 p.m. Central Time. All right. Then we have the countdown page that I talked about earlier. So I like to refer to this as the join Zoom or join webinar page or the countdown page. Now, this page right here fills in with also the webinar date. Once this countdown turns to 10 minutes prior to the webinar, guys, I know it says 5 minutes here. The reality is it's actually 10 minutes. But once it turns into 5 minutes before the class starts, they can click on this button. And as soon as they click on this button, that's how they get marked as attended webinar. And once they click on this button, they get automatically taken to your your webinar meeting where you're able to host and all that fun stuff that we'll talk about tomorrow. Excuse me. But there you go. So are we starting to see now how those placeholders are being filled in? You know, I stress the placeholders a lot. Do we kind of get now a little bit more on exactly why I said, hey, we're not going to edit the placeholder. We're not going to edit anything outside of those curly braces that I mentioned, you know, when we were talking about the SMS, when we were talking about the funnel or the emails. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to close out those two pages now. We no longer need to reference it. I just had these open to give you guys a visual, to give you guys an understanding of exactly what changes when you alter this. Then we also have here the webinar details on the right-hand side of the webinar launcher. So again, we filled in the webinar date. We're now going to fill in the webinar details. We have first city. This does not need to be one city. This just needs to be one name that covers your entire location of targeting. So, Bradley, I'm going to pick on you here. I'm going to use you as an example. Bradley, you are based in Austin, yes?
I am, yes.
All right. So for yourself, we can just here write Austin. Now, is that the best thing for us to write for you?
No, I practice wider than that, yeah.
Because Austin isn't the only area that you target, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we could also write in here Travis County. Again, this is one name that covers right? A little bit more, but is this the best thing to write?
That would get a lot of it, but it wouldn't get the whole area.
Right. Okay. So again, if we were to try to find one name that covers your entire location targeting, what would that be?
People around here say Central Texas.
Central.
So if you put that, people would recognize it. Yeah.
All right. So that's exactly what we're going to write. Right now, again, we don't want to write something here like like Austin, Dallas, those are multiple names. You do not want to do that. That does not look nice. It doesn't look nice inside of SMS, doesn't look nice inside of emails. Does not look nice on your landing page. But if you have one name that covers all of your locations of targeting, so for example, this can be a county. Can't be multiple counties. If you're doing multiple counties, write a more generic name. So for example, Central Texas. This is a name here that people in that area recognize, they're familiar with, and it covers the entire location of targeting.
That would work, yeah.
All right. So after typing in your city, now you'll notice that as soon as I made a change, I saved to the right-hand side. I saved that specific row that I edited, right? You'll notice that if you click Save All Details, you can also do that. But it won't save because you don't have anything here filled in. All right, now we're going to ignore the Zoom link for now. We'll be talking about that tomorrow, and we actually will not be setting up Zoom. We'll be setting up the CRM live stream feature, where if we click on that, you can actually sign up for a free trial. We'll be talking more about that tomorrow and exactly the power of the CRM live stream, why it's recommended that we use that instead of Zoom, and exactly how powerful it is. But for now, we're going to fill in the host name field, host email, and domain name. So, you're going to see Zoom link here. Again, just ignore past that. We are not filling that in today. The next one that we will be filling in is host name. For host name, this one's simple enough. This is going to be the name of the webinar host. And again, you're going to follow the same rule that we followed for city. This needs to be one name. So, for example, Bradley is our host today. We're going to write Bradley's name. However, in reality, the host is actually both myself, Mo, and Bradley. Well, I'm not going to write here Mo and Bradley. That doesn't look good, and it's generally not recommended. So instead, what I can do here is write our team name, our branding. This could be the Rico Demand Team. That can be the name of the host. Now, again, you want to just make it one clean and consistent name. After filling in the host name, you're going to fill in the host email. This one's simple enough. This is going to be the email address that you use to conduct business. All right, so you can do Bradley at homebuyer.com, all right? And then click save. All right, so the email address that you use to conduct business, the email or the name that you use to conduct business, or the name of the webinar host. And then finally here we have domain name, which we'll be circling back to in just a moment. But for now, at this very moment in time, you should have the webinar date and time filled in, as well as time zone. So that's webinar date, webinar time, and time zone. Again, even if you don't necessarily plan on hosting a webinar at this date or time, just type something in there, or just put something in there, just again to make your system more functional, so you can exactly see how it is that you would edit your webinar date for each webinar, and so you can see what a fully finalized landing page looks like as well. Just take the time now to fill in your webinar date, fill in your webinar time, all right, fill in your time zone, and click set webinar date and time. And then also at this time, I want you guys to fill in the city section. Again, remember what we said earlier. This does not need to be a city. It just needs to be one name that covers your entire area of targeting, right? So this could be the name of a city, the name of a county, or the name or a more generic area name. We then have the name of the webinar host. This could be either your own name or your team name, but you do not want to make it two different names. And then finally, the email address that you use to conduct business. And once you have those three things filled in, we can then move on to filling in the domain name. All right. So we are on the last part of setting up our, or the last part of setup for today. And the very last part is connecting a domain into our CRM. So guys, I showed you the funnel earlier, but you'll notice that when we try to open up this funnel, we don't have an actual address, right? This just goes crm.recruitdemand.com/v2/preview, yada, 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 right? We need to have an actual address to take our leads to. We need to have an actual address to direct our leads to from the Facebook ad. Now, we also don't want you to go out and go on GoDaddy and just go purchase a brand new domain for the purpose of these webinars. So we're actually going to provide you with a domain that we have already purchased for you. So what I want everybody to do now is go into school.com. And in school.com, you're going to find the classroom section at the top. Within the classroom section, you'll find challenge resources. And under challenge resources, you will find free subdomain registration, where you'll see a link directly to our subdomain registration, connect.recodemand.com. Now, just to make everyone's life as easy as possible, I'm also going to put this link directly into the Zoom chat. That's connect.recodemand.com. All right. Once we have that page opened up, we are going to use this form to register a free subdomain for our funnel. Now, if you have your own domain already purchased, you can go into the CRM training videos, open up the CRM mini course, and you can reference this video right here, integrating your own domain. However, just two things to know. We cannot help you connect your own domain. We do not have access to that domain. We cannot help you troubleshoot. And if you mess up one of your settings, you might lose access to your website. We cannot help you with that. We can absolutely help you with registering for a free subdomain. And Bradley, you have a funny story you want to tell?
All right, listen, do not get a custom domain and try to apply it unless you are a ninja with DNS records. And if you don't know what that means, DNS records, that's your confirmation that you should not use a custom domain. Ask me how I know. It's really easy to crash your entire existing website and not be able to get it back. So just don't do it. Crawl before you walk. Use one of the free subdomains. This pushes the thing out the door, out there to the world very quickly. And then when you want to get fancy and get bradswebinars.com or whatever, you can get some tech help to do that. People actually don't look at the domain address in the ad anyway. By the time they click on it, they're in the bag. They don't actually know where they are.
Exactly it. All right. Yeah, Bradley, I know you speak from experience when you say that. Okay. So we are on connect.recodemand.com, and we are going to fill in this form to register for a free subdomain for our funnel. We're going to type in our first name, last name, our email address, And then we're going to type in a subdomain here. For the subdomain field, you want to type in anything that is in relation to your webinar. This being the area of targeting, the topic of the webinar, yourself as a speaker, or a mix of any or all of the above. So for example, I can do Austin, Texas, or I can do home buyers, or I can do Austin buyers, or maybe I can, I want to do Central Texas, Central
One quick
TX.
thing, because I see questions about this in the chat. I want you guys to look at Mo's screen, look at the address bar, see that he's on a different site right now. He's opened up a different tab, connect.ricodemand.com. This is where you go and get that free subdomain. And then we're going to do a little setup here, and then we'll take it back to the CRM. Okay. So just open up a new tab, connect.ricodemand.com, so you can get to what Mo is looking at right now.
All right. Yeah. And I'll take it from the top as well. So we got to connect.ricodemand.com. We filled in our first name, our last name, and the email address that we use to sign up with Rico Demand. After filling in those top 3 fields, we're going to type in a subdomain, and we're going to choose a domain as well. So if we're typing in our subdomain, we want this to be in relation to our webinar in some way, shape, or form, whether that's in relation to the area of targeting, the topic of our webinar, or yourself as a presenter. Or it can be a mix of any of the above or all of the above. So I'm in Central Texas. I can write Central TX, Central Texas. I can do Texas home buyers, or maybe just Texas buyers, or Texas real estate. I have options, right? I'm going to stick to Central Texas. I'm going to name this based off of the location of targeting. All right. Then we have the domain. Once I click on domain, I get a drop down of a bunch of different domain options. Now, the way it works is any domain that you choose here, your subdomain will come first, and it'll be followed by .yourdomain.com or .net or .org. So let's choose localhomeclass.com. You'll see here what my domain will now be is centraltx.localhomeclass.com. Once you have that information filled in and you have a subdomain that you're happy with, and you've chosen a domain from this list, you would then click register. After clicking register, by the way, if you click register and you get an error message, it might say that this domain is taken, or it might say you can't use any special characters. Like, don't put a dot in your domain. Don't put any like an underscore or an exclamation mark or a question mark or anything along the lines. Or it might say it's taken, that you have to choose a different subdomain. Once you have filled in that information, once you filled in the form, you're going to follow the instruction below to connect your domain. We have first, step 1. Open the CRM and head to settings found on the bottom left-hand side of the CRM. All right. So I'm going to open up the CRM, and I'm going to open up settings found on the bottom left-hand side of the CRM. I'm then going to go into I'm going to find the domains and URL redirects on the left-hand side of the CRM. So CRM, I clicked on settings on the bottom left-hand side, and then I find domains and URL redirects. Then from here, I'm going to flip back into this tab, and I'm going to follow the rest of the instruction, which says click or just connect a domain. And I can see in this image here, tells me this is the page I should be on. It tells me to go to domains and URL redirects, and then it tells me to click or just connect a domain. All right, so inside of the CRM, domains and URL redirects, I click or just connect a domain. And then again, so guys, all of the instruction here is laid out exactly on this page, step by step. we have step 2, click connect beside funnel, website, store, blog, or webinar. So go to the CRM there, funnel, website, store, blog, or webinar. I click connect. Step 3, copy the following. So I have to highlight and copy this following domain. And I'm going to paste this domain inside of the field in the CRM, then click continue. All right, so this is my domain inside of the CRM. I'm going to right click and click paste inside of this field, and then I'm going to click continue. I then get a pop-up on my page. I'm going to follow step 4, where it tells me to click add record manually from that pop-up. So I'm going to go into the CRM and I'm going to click add record manually. And then I can follow step 5, which tells me to click verify records. That's verify records inside of the CRM. And then I have step 6, which tells me to select the webinar funnel in the dropdown and then click proceed to finish. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes here. I'm going to get a different page. And once I get that different page, I need to select the webinar funnel in that dropdown, and then I need to select proceed to finish. So this is what the page looks like. I click on webinar funnel, and then I click landing page, and then proceed to finish. And once that's done, you have connected your domain into the CRM. All right, now I do want to cover those steps again. However, before I do that, I'm going to show you guys how to connect a domain once more. But before I do that, once you have connected your domain into the CRM, there is one more thing you have to do, and that is inputting your domain into the webinar launcher. So under the webinar launcher, you'll find domain name, where you will click paste. Under domain name, you'll paste your copy domain. You also have to, once you try to save this domain, you'll notice that it says you need to make sure your domain starts with a prefix, https://. So I'm going to type in https://. And then I can click save. And now my domain name has been inputted into my webinar launcher, and I have a domain connected to my CRM. Now, I'm going to take it from the very, very top. I just had to do one run in its entirety, uninterrupted, of connecting your domain into the CRM. Just because, again, guys, we are running short on time. We are limited on time today. And I'm going to connect it again, but this time I'm going to cover the common mistakes that I see are made when you're connecting a domain. So just, again, you don't have to follow this at this time. I'm just deleting this domain. Again, want to give you guys a full example here. And we're going to take it from the very top. Take
it from the top, subdomain registration. So if you got a little bit wrapped around the axle on step 2 or 3, don't panic, because we're going to do it all again. And as a reminder, I don't think we've said this enough tonight. Every single thing that Mo is going over tonight is recorded in these bite-sized video and training lessons inside Day 2 Resources CRM training videos. And so you'll see that you can watch Mo, and in fact, you can even slow him down. You can make him slow-mo by playing him at 1/4 speed. So don't panic. He's taking you through it, but he will take you through it on video as many times as you need inside of those resources. Use your tools, okay? That's Coach Brad coming out. Mo?
You got it. Thank you, Bradley. Yeah, slow-mo. Hey, you can also speed it up if you wanted to, okay? All right, so we have here first the connect.recodemand.com page. We are going to fill in your first name, fill in your last name, and your email address. And then we have subdomain. For the subdomain, you want this to be in relation to either yourself as a presenter, the topic of your webinar, or the area of targeting. So for example, I can do something as something like, my team name. I can do Recodemand. Or I can do what I chose earlier was Central Texas. Or I can do home buyers or investors or sellers, right? You just want this to be in some way, shape, or form in relation to your webinar. Don't spend too much time on your subdomain. If you're, panicking, if you're sitting here right now panicking about what you want your subdomain to be, take a step back. You do not need to overthink it. Keep it simple. Central Texas, Central, whatever it is, keep it really simple. You do not need to overthink the subdomain. Then we have the domain itself. For the domain, I think last time I chose I chose localhomeclass.com. For this one, I will choose yourhomeclass.com. All right. Whatever domain I want to choose here, whatever I'm comfortable with, whatever I think looks nice is what I want to select. Now, you may get an error message when you click register. You may get something like this that says your subdomain field must only contain letters and numbers. You cannot have a space in the subdomain field. Do not have a dot in the subdomain field. Don't have an underscore or a hyphen or anything along the lines. Keep it simple, one word, or just one. It can be multiple words, but no spaces, no dots, no special characters. All right. And once you're happy with your domain, you can click register. All right. And then you can follow all of these steps step by step. Remember, you need 2 tabs open right now. You need first the connect.recodemand.com page, and then you need your CRM. You are flipping back and forth between these 2 pages, connect.recodemand.com and the CRM. This page is going to give you instruction on exactly what you need to click on the CRM, right? So for example, step 1 tells me open the CRM, head to settings found on the bottom left-hand side of the CRM. So CRM, I'm going to head to settings found on the bottom left-hand side. Okay. Then from there, I'm going to find domains and URL redirects on the left-hand side of the settings. And by the way, if I don't know where I am, I don't know what I'm looking at, I can zoom in a little bit and look at the image and the image will tell me exactly where I need to go, where I need to be, and what I need to click. So I'm going to find domains and URL redirects on the left-hand side of the CRM. And then I'm going to click or just connect a domain. Now this button is tricky. It's a little bit, it likes to hide, but it's right there. It says, or just connect a domain. We click on that button, and now we're taken to step 2. Step 2 tells us to click connect beside funnel, website, store, blog, or webinar. This one's pretty easy enough. Inside of the CRM, we just simply click connect. Step 3 tells us to copy the following: centraltexas.yourhomeclass.com, right? That's your domain in full. And then we're going to go back into the CRM. We're going to click paste inside of the field, and then we're going to click continue. So back into the CRM, I'm going to paste, and then I'm going to click continue. All right, now I get a pop-up. The most common mistake made throughout this entire process of setting up your domain is you don't look at this next step. This next step tells you to click add record manually. Many people here will instead click continue, and you will see a screen that says something about Cloudflare. If you see something about Cloudflare, you click the wrong button, jumped ahead a little bit, that's okay. If you see this, your domain provider is Cloudflare, just click back. All right, so if you see Cloudflare, here, you know what? I'll take it a step further. Let's say you even clicked authorize domain and you get taken to like a Cloudflare page. Close out that tab. Close it out entirely. Wait for it to finish loading. And if it takes its time like this, again, just click back and click add record manually. But even then, if you see here, it's still authorizing. It'll just skip ahead for you to step 6. Now, step 4, after clicking add record manually, you just want to click verify records. If you see an error message such as couldn't find the CNAME or something along those lines. A red message, it says, I couldn't find CNAME. It means you typed in the wrong domain from step 3. You did not copy this domain properly from step 3. You need to go back to step 3, highlight and copy that domain, make sure it's the correct domain. Inside of the CRM, you would close that out. Take it from the top there where you click connect a domain. Follow step 2, follow step 3, and then you'll be able to follow the steps accordingly. Add record manually, verify records, and then finally, when you're on the last step, you are going to open up this drop-down and select the webinar funnel. Once you've selected the webinar funnel, you are simply going to click proceed to finish. Once you've clicked proceed to finish, you will have a domain connected to your CRM. Now, you are not quite done yet. What you want to do, and by the way, at this time, you can actually test it out. You can open up this domain in a new tab, and you will see your landing page load up. And you'll see your landing page with your filled in details, Central Texas Home Buyers Live Class. Now, you want to have this domain copied. And you want to go back in the CRM and open up the webinar launcher. And inside of the webinar launcher, you want to paste your domain name in the webinar launcher and make sure your domain name is formatted appropriately. So it'll tell you the following. Your domain name has to start with an https://. So at the very beginning of my domain name, I'm going to type in https://, and then I can click save. It also tells me that my domain name cannot end with a /. So if I can just delete the / and click save, now my webinar details have filled in. Okay, now we don't have too much time left on this session. I do want to make sure that we get to some questions here. Bradley, I know you got a buyer webinar. Nice.
I have to hold a buyer webinar in about 3 minutes, and I've got something that I need to share with you guys. It's very important as far as being a part of this process. There is a lesson about this inside of school. Surprise, surprise, day 2 resources. This is going to be a necessary step. And for those of you who are very excited about pushing your webinar out there to the world immediately, go do this first. There is a lesson inside of school day 2 resources, CRM mini course, CRM training videos. You'll see that there's a article plus a video about registering your phone number. So here's what happened. Because of all those spam text messages and spam phone calls, the government leaned on the carriers to come up with their own registration system to get these bad actors out of the texting system. So what they came up with is called A2P. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get a phone number approved. The phone number is cheap. It's like $2. But what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to spend a week or two going through this process. You submit your application, you give them your information. Don't be surprised if they kick back your application because you didn't cross a T or dot an I. That's why you want to follow those instructions that Mo has laid out in the CRM mini course on this topic to the T. And there is a video about it as well. Sometimes it takes 2 days, but if you kind of screw it up, if you make mistakes and they have to keep batting it back and forth, it could take you a month. So go get out in front of this now by applying so that you can go ahead, get your phone number approved and start texting immediately. Can't run ads until you've got a phone number to send those reminders, right? So this is really important. Keep at it and you will get it. Okay. So we have that video, we have that training. I want to get to one thing. We talked about everything that we covered today. We learned a lot. Don't forget all of those videos are waiting for you. But remember, you only have to do this hard setup part once. And we have video and written walkthroughs of every single step of everything we went over today and more inside that CRM training videos. Okay. So Mo, I'm going to have to hand it back to you to give out the, remember we have a gift certificate. Not a gift certificate. What do you call it? A Facebook advertising credit. And so you're going to have to do that announcement because I don't know who it is that won it. And I have to go to my buyer webinar. Wish me luck, everybody. I'll let you guys know tomorrow how it went. I can't wait to see you. Tomorrow, you're mine, all mine again, because we're going to go to the presentation. I'm going to teach you guys how to present like I do and how to get those people to cue the laughs, cue the tears, give you a standing ovation, and then book themselves on your calendar. See you guys later. Y'all take care.
All right.
Mo, it's yours.
break a leg, enjoy the webinar. Okay, we're just going to cover a few more things here. So, at risk of sounding like a broken record, this one thing I want everybody to keep in mind is that this only has to be set up once, right? You have a video and written walkthrough of this entire process inside of Skool. Again, take advantage of all those resources available to you. It is found under skool.com, under the classroom section, under challenge resources. So if you get stuck at any point today, you want to go in and reference those resources. It is normal to feel uncomfortable when learning something new, especially something more powerful than anything your competition is doing. And we are here to help. Again, you want to make a post on Skool for any questions that you may have. You can also use the Get Help feature directly on the top right of the CRM. But if you make a post in Skool, that is highly recommended because other people might have the same question as you. So while we're helping you, we also get the chance to help other people as well. So you make a post in Skool of any questions that you have. Our team is here to assist. We have some homework for tonight. Homework is get familiar with the CRM, get familiar with the funnels, with the workflows, with the webinar launcher. Review that setup mini course, again, that's located in the challenge resources directly inside of Skool. Okay, now we are right on time here for our giveaway. We are giving away $300 in Facebook ad credits throughout the course of this challenge. And the winner for today is Nicolette Kubler. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. All right, so congratulations, Nicolette, on winning the giveaway. We'll be reaching out to you directly inside of Skool. Keep an eye out for a direct message from us to claim those ad credits. Okay, now, we are really right at the finish line. I do want to be respectful of everyone's time, but we are going to do a quick minute or two, a couple minutes of Q&A. So what I'm going to ask is we're going to try to rapid fire these questions. We're going to try to answer as many as possible. Raise your hand, use the raise your hand feature directly inside of Zoom. I'm going to call you out. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself, and I want you again to rapid fire these questions. Let's start off with Chip. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Hey, thank you. Awesome job. Great teacher. I just finished all the setup and the domain and everything. I got to step 6. I just can't figure out how to get back to taking a look at what my website looks like.
Oh, open up the domain.
How?
So do you mean take a look at what your website looks like, or do you mean editing the actual site itself?
No, open it up and see. So how do I open that domain up?
All right, so the domain that you connected, right? Say I connected a centraltexas.yourhomeclass.com, right?
Yep.
Well, I'm going to open up a new tab on my browser, and I'm actually going to open up, type in,
okay,
right? And you'll see what your page looks like from there.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank you.
No problem. All right. I'm going to move on to Jeff. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. Again, guys, we're going to try to rapid fire these questions.
Hey, so 2 questions. Where do we get the HP2 phone number or A2P phone number? And then the second question, so if I market in Houston, Austin, and Dallas, okay, I'm going to create 3 different webinars for 3 different cities. Is it all going to go into one funnel? So I'm basically going to have one subdomain, or am I going to have a different subdomain for each city and have 3 funnels? Yeah, I wasn't real clear on that.
You would put them all under one webinar, one funnel, one system, right?
No, so webinar. There's going to be 3 webinars. I'm going to do a webinar for Austin, a webinar for Houston, and a webinar for San Antonio.
Okay. You can do that. I'll be fully transparent with you. I don't see the purpose as to why separating those when you can keep them in one and label it as Texas. But if you want to separate them, yeah, but the most common approach there, like Bradley, for instance, if he was here, he would say, put them all in one. That's exactly almost word for word what Bradley does. He does multiple areas, and he does Central Texas as his. He has multiple counties, multiple cities, those being both Dallas and Austin. He doesn't cover Houston, but Dallas and Austin, he does cover in one webinar, right? But yeah, so if you want to
the advertising, when you do your ads, you need to be real specific on exactly where you want the people. So if you're gonna
ads, what you would do is your landing page, you would make that Texas. But in your advertisements, you would just have a different location of targeting and basically just a different ad set, different location for each of those. But they would fall under the same campaign, all leading to the same webinar. The presentation itself doesn't change. The webinar itself doesn't change. It's just the call out on the ad. Keep in mind, you can have multiple ads running under one campaign for
multiple ads, one campaign, one webinar, one funnel, and one subdomain, correct?
That's exactly it.
Okay, and then where do we get the phone number, the A2P thing or whatever?
Yeah, we can't find the link.
So for the phone number, there's a video inside of school in the CRM mini course that talks about A2P registration. First, when you register for A2P and then when you're approved, you can actually just register, you get a phone number directly from the CRM, the same place where you register for A2P.
Wait, is it under?
For the phone number, you can type in your own area code, select your own local area code, and make sure you know your location of targeting. It fits that.
We just can't find where
We have no
where
idea
the
where.
video is,
Yeah, where is it?
yeah.
So it is inside of school.
Uh-huh.
Again, the classroom under
Yeah.
challenge resources. Every
Then-
single thing is located under challenge resources, and
But
you'll
what-
find CRM training videos under day 2. In there, you'll find these CRM.
Okay.
So
Thank
if I share my screen here, classroom, challenge resources, day 2 CRM training videos, and CRM mini course is located directly in there, where you'll see step-by-step instruction on every single thing that we've talked about today.
You're the best. Thank you.
No problem. All right. I'm going to try to get maybe one more question in here. Again, I do want to be respectful of everyone's time. I'm going to ask Luke here to unmute himself, and then we're going to have to wrap up today's session. Just one thing before Luke, I get to your question. And guys, you know, if you have to hop off or anything along the lines, again, we are here to answer your questions. I do want to make sure everyone gets assisted. Go directly inside of school, make a post. Keep in mind that same question that you may have, someone else may also have. By making a post and letting us answer your question directly in school, in front of the community, you get to assist other people as well just by asking one question. All right.
3
Luke.
really quick questions. I'm going to fire them out. Number 1, can we have it unbranded? So it would have our branding and not your branding.
No
up there?
affiliate badges.
Inside of the CRM directly?
No, on the website and web.
Yeah. There
Okay.
is no mention. There is actually no mention of Rico Demand for your leads. So your leads do not see any mention of Rico Demand in any way, shape, or form.
Perfect. Is there a way that if a realtor registered and it was a
Mhm.
local agent that you could boot them out?
Yes. So you would move them into the abandoned lead stage that I talked about at the beginning of this session, right? And remember, any lead inside of the abandoned lead stage, they receive no SMS or email communication from your CRM.
No, but like say I put in all the realtors that are local. I don't want them to watch my
Yeah,
thing.
you would
I
see that
can-
you'd
Yeah.
move them to the.
okay.
You would just move to that stage and they can't attend your webinar because they're not receiving the link to join anymore.
Perfect, thank you. And then thirdly, you guys keep doing buyer seminars. Do you think this is just as effective with sellers?
Yes, absolutely. It is just as effective. It's just that seller leads are on average, and this, kind of is an industry standard, they are more expensive and they might take longer to convert, right? So seller leads, they require a little bit more attention, right? If we recommend a $500 budget for our buyer webinars, you're going to want to do something closer to maybe even 1,000, maybe even more than 1,000. Like Bradley hosted a seller webinar. He got a lot of success from it, but he did a $3,000 budget. Right, so they are on average more expensive. It is a higher cost per acquisition. However, it is just as fruitful, just as successful.
Okay.
Mhm.
You have any questions?
That's it. Thank you so much.
Okay, you guys rock. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. Okay. Well, that takes us to the end of our time today, everybody. Thank you for staying those 6 minutes. What we'll be going over tomorrow, day 3, is hosting via the CRM live stream or Zoom, setting all that up. Bradley will be talking about the golden presentation to engage and educate attendees, the perfect close to get appointments booked directly into your calendar. Talking about using the appointment booking tool to get appointments into your calendar. Okay, everybody, what an incredible day this has been. The CRM is the most powerful marketing tool out there, and it is my pleasure to have been able to walk you through it today. That is all I got for you today. We will see you tomorrow for presentation day with Bradley, and I will see you on day 4 for ads day. Take care, everybody.
Recording stopped.